Kevin Stefanski didn't just lose his cool, he lost control of the room during what was supposed to be a routine offensive meeting. Rookie quarterback Shedeur Sanders stunned the entire coaching staff with a blunt ultimatum. Trade me, or this gets worse. What followed wasn't a typical disagreement. It was an emotional detonation. Stefanski reportedly erupted, storming out of the room in a visible meltdown that underscored a complete breakdown in communication between coach and quarterback.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
This wasn't about play calls or formations. It was about betrayal, and the Browns are suddenly exposed in a moment of raw dysfunction. This isn't just a falling out between a rookie and his coach. It's a rupture that threatens to implode the entire Cleveland Browns operation. Sanders, once the centerpiece of the Browns' future, now represents everything the franchise is failing to manage: talent, trust, and modern leadership. The aftermath of this confrontation has forced owner Jimmy Haslam and the front office into damage control as trade talks accelerate and NFL teams circle like sharks. This situation could define the next decade of Browns football and maybe reshape how the league handles star power and organizational authority. Kevin Stefanski just had a full-blown meltdown. And no, this isn't some post-game frustration or vague locker room tension. We're talking screaming match in a meeting room, storming out of the facility level chaos. And the trigger? Shedeur Sanders, yes, that's Shedeur Sanders, wants out Cleveland. The Browns' golden rookie, their supposed future, has officially dropped the nuclear bomb. Trade me, or it's going to get ugly. And judging by how fast it did get ugly, that wasn't an empty threat. This wasn't a slow burn. This was a full-on organizational explosion. So here's what we know. Shedeur Sanders, who came into the NFL with a spotlight already blazing thanks to his performance at Colorado, and of course, the Sanders legacy, is done. According to sources, during what should have been a standard offensive meeting, he stood up and made it crystal clear. He no longer trusts his coaching staff. He doesn't feel valued. And if the Browns can't figure it out, he wants out. Immediately. That alone is a headline. But it gets worse. Kevin Stefanski, head coach and apparently now part-time volcano, didn't take it well. In fact, he reportedly lost it. Emotionally, professionally, totally. The confrontation escalated fast. Stefanski reacted with what's being described as a violent outburst. No punches thrown, but clearly not the measured response you'd expect from a head coach managing a top rookie's concerns. He stormed out of the meeting. Some reports even say he left the building altogether. Not exactly the calm leadership you want in the middle of a team crisis. And let's be real, this isn't just a bad day. This is a symptom of something deeper. Shedeur is not demanding a trade over one bad play call. He's done because he feels betrayed. He believes promises were broken, that his development as a player, something he and his camp were clearly told would be a priority, was mishandled, that his skills, his vision for the game, were never truly embraced. The Browns, according to Sanders, sold him a vision, and then coached him like he was just another rookie to mold into their system. The trust is gone. Completely. This is the kind of moment that either defines a franchise or destroys it. You've got a rookie quarterback, hyped as one of the most promising in recent memory, openly saying he's lost faith in the organization. And it's not just about game plans. It's about communication, about respect, about leadership, or in this case, the lack of all three. And let's talk about leadership, because right now, Browns ownership and management are in emergency mode. Jimmy Haslam, who's been through more than a few franchise fiascos, has reportedly called a series of closed-door meetings, damage control, image repair, strategy sessions, whatever you want to call it. They're clearly trying to hold the walls up before the whole house collapses. But it may already be too late. Because here's the brutal truth. This isn't a one-off disaster. This is just the latest chapter in a much longer story of dysfunction. The Browns have never been known for stability. But this is unprecedented even for them. You draft a star quarterback, a generational media figure, and within months he's calling the organization untrustworthy? That's not a Shedeur problem. That's a Browns problem. And the NFL is watching. Shedeur Sanders might be done with Cleveland, but the rest of the league isn't done with him. Word is, teams are already circling. The Denver Broncos, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the Atlanta Falcons have all expressed interest. Serious interest. They're lining up potential trade offers, preparing to take advantage of the Browns' meltdown and snatch up a quarterback who could redefine their future. Because even with the drama, no one questions Shedeur's potential. And let's be honest, this would be the power move of the year. We are in the era of player empowerment. Shedeur knows it. The NFL knows it. And clearly, the Browns didn't get the memo. Modern quarterbacks are more than just on-field leaders. They're brands. They have platforms, influence, contracts that reflect their value far beyond the stat sheet. And when they speak, people listen, especially when they call out a franchise for being, well, fundamentally broken. Because that's what this is. A breakdown of structure, of communication, of leadership. And fans? They're not united on this either. Social media has been in flames since the story broke. One half is begging the Browns to fix it. Fire Stefanski, clean house, do whatever it takes to keep Shedeur. The other half is telling him to run, that he's too talented to waste his prime on another rebuild, another chaotic locker room, another Browns experiment gone wrong. There's no middle ground, just a franchise tearing at the seams, and a quarterback standing in the center of the storm. The media's not helping. Every major outlet has latched onto this story. It's dominating headlines, debate shows, podcasts, you name it. And with every new detail, the narrative shifts further away from the Browns having any semblance of control. Right now, it looks like they've lost their star, lost their coach, and lost the locker room. All in one move. And what's Kevin Stefanski's next step? That's a big question with no real answer. You don't come back from a meltdown like this without serious repercussions. His leadership is being questioned not just by fans, but reportedly even within the organization. Some staff members are shaken. Others are fed up. The Browns bet big on Stefanski being a steady hand. But when push came to shove, when the stakes were highest, he didn't hold it together. You know what they say. When a head coach storms out a meeting in a rage, that's usually not part of the 5-year development plan. This incident isn't just about one meeting. It's a reflection of everything the Browns have been trying to ignore. The dysfunction, the lack of a clear power structure. The way decisions seem to get made in silos with coaches, front office, and ownership rarely in sync. It's why this team can never seem to get over the hump. Because every time they get close, the foundation crumbles underneath them. And now, one of the brightest prospects they've ever had is threatening to walk. The thing that stings most? This was preventable. Shedeur wasn't asking for the world. He wanted a team that believed in his style of play. A coaching staff that adapted with him, not around him. Respect, communication, transparency, the basics. And the Browns couldn't deliver. Now they're paying the price. The fallout could last years. Even if Sanders is traded, what top-tier prospect is going to want to sign up for this circus? How do you convince the next young quarterback that this organization is stable, trustworthy, capable of developing elite talent? You can't. Not right now. Not with this public of a disaster. It's also sending a message to the rest of the league. Players have leverage now, especially quarterbacks. Especially marketable, social media savvy, legacy-tied quarterbacks like Shedeur Sanders. They aren't waiting around to be molded. They want partnerships, not hierarchies. And if organizations don't keep up, they'll get left behind. Or worse, publicly humiliated. So what happens next? Honestly, nothing good for Cleveland unless they act fast. If Stefanski stays, they risk alienating Sanders completely, and possibly other players who feel the same way, but haven't said it yet. If they fire him, it's a public admission of failure and instability. Either way, the cracks are already showing, and no matter how many emergency meetings ownership holds, they can't erase the fact that they just had a player-coach implosion play out in full view for the NFL world. Right now, the Browns are standing at a cliff's edge. Fix this, or fall into another decade of dysfunction. Let us know in the comments. Should Cleveland blow it all up and back Shedeur Sanders? Or is it too late to repair the damage? And if he is traded, which team should go all in? Drop your takes. Hit that like button if you're as stunned as we are, and don't forget to subscribe for more breakdowns of the wildest stories shaking up the sports world. Because trust us, this one's just getting started. All right, let's dig even deeper, because this isn't just about one player's frustration or one coach's meltdown. What's happening in Cleveland right now is a perfect storm of broken promises, outdated leadership styles, and modern NFL that's moving way faster than the Browns can handle. Let's talk about the promises first. Shedeur Sanders didn't enter the NFL blind. His camp, his family, especially with a father like Deion Sanders in his corner, they were meticulous. Every decision was calculated. So when Shedeur agreed to land in Cleveland, it wasn't some desperate rookie just happy to get drafted. There were conversations, commitments. He was told he'd be developed his way, that his style, quick reads, precision passing, pocket mobility, would be elevated, not restricted. Instead, Stefanski reportedly tried to box him into a system that didn't fit. Think about that. You bring in one of the most adaptable young quarterbacks with a unique play style that's already built for today's NFL, and then you try to shove him into a textbook offense that hasn't evolved since 2017? That's not coaching. That's ego. And that ego is what cracked the locker room open. Because when you've got a young star in the making raising red flags early, calling out the system, asking for flexibility, and you respond by doubling down on your scheme, you're not managing. You're stifling. And Shedeur didn't come to the NFL to be stifled. He came to win. On his terms, yes, but not selfishly. Confidently. There's a difference. And it seems like the Browns couldn't recognize that before it was too late. The confrontation, as dramatic as it was probably a long time coming. Tension like that doesn't build in a day. You could bet Shedeur had voiced concerns quietly, had meetings behind closed doors, tried the team-first route. But when you keep getting dismissed, when every issue is met with coaching cliches and stiff shoulders, eventually you explode. And that's exactly what happened. Shedeur walked into that meeting room and dropped a bomb. He told them flat out, I don't trust this anymore. Either trade me, or this situation is going to keep getting worse. That's not an empty threat. That's a quarterback with leverage, and he knows it. So Stefanski's response? Not just unprofessional, not just emotional, but telling. Because when a leader's first instinct is to lose control, to scream, to storm out, he's not a leader anymore. He's a liability. And now, the Browns are in a full-blown identity crisis. They're not just trying to figure out how to patch things up with Shedeur. They're trying to reestablish what this franchise even stands for. Is this a team built on old-school discipline, rigid coaching, and my way or the highway mentalities? Or is it ready to join the rest of the league in a player-driven era where communication and adaptability actually matter? Right now, it looks like they don't know the answer. And the NFL is watching closely because this drama goes way beyond Cleveland. This is about the future of team management. Front offices around the league are taking notes because Shedeur is setting a precedent here. He's not just asserting his value. He's challenging a power structure that's been untouched for decades. And if he gets traded on his terms, with his narrative intact, best believe other young stars are going to start doing the same. Look at the timing. Shedeur is not some second-round pick trying to survive. He's a franchise-caliber quarterback with name recognition, media savvy, and a personal brand that's already bigger than most veterans. If he walks out of Cleveland, the Browns don't just lose a player. They lose a face, a story, a future, and more importantly, they lose credibility. Because let's not forget, this organization has history, and not the good kind. Quarterback drama is practically a tradition in Cleveland. From broken development pipelines to constant scheme changes to bizarre front office choices, the Browns have turned potential into disaster more times than anyone can count. Shedeur was supposed to break that cycle. And now, he might be just another name on the long list of what could have been. The ownership's response so far? Emergency meetings, private talks. We're evaluating all options statements behind the scenes. But fans aren't buying it. They've seen this movie before. They know what it looks like when the organization starts scrambling. And this time, they're not just disappointed, they're furious. Social media is lit up with takes from every angle. Some are begging the team to side with Shedeur. Cut the coach, restructure the offense, do something to keep the franchise quarterback in Cleveland. Others are tired, exhausted by the cycle, saying, let him go. Let him play somewhere that respects him. We'll rebuild again. The problem? You can't rebuild trust. Not like this. Not after a meltdown that everyone in the building and outside of it knows happened. When your quarterback calls you out publicly. When your coach responds like a man pushed his limit. You can't just slap a Band-Aid on it and call it culture. You have to make a decision. A real one. And fast. If the Browns side with Stefanski, they might salvage a few headlines in the short term. We back our coach. We're focused on the team. But long term, they're telling every future free agent, every future draft pick, every young star, your voice won't matter here. Your instincts will be ignored. Your career will be shaped by someone who doesn't want to evolve. On the flip side, if they back Shedeur, they're effectively saying, we got it wrong. We handed the keys to the wrong leader, and now we have to start over. Neither path is easy, but one of them keeps Shedeur in Cleveland. The other doesn't. And while the Browns stall, other teams are getting their pitches ready. The Broncos need a franchise QB. The Raiders are desperate for relevance. The Falcons would love to build around a star with swagger and upside. All three teams are reportedly circling, and don't be surprised if more jump in. Shedeur Sanders on the trade market is big. Bigger than a mid-season switch-up. Bigger than a locker room dispute. It's the kind of availability that can reshape a franchise. And for Cleveland, that means one thing, pressure. Because this situation won't simmer down. It's only getting louder. And the longer they wait, the more it looks like they're not in control. So where does it go from here? If Stefanski stays, it's likely Shedeur's gone. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But the relationship is fractured, and that kind of damage doesn't heal with a PR statement. If Stefanski goes, you've got to rebuild an entire coaching strategy around a young quarterback who's already been burned. Either way, the team is in shambles. And the players? Don't assume they're all on the sidelines here. When something this dramatic happens, locker room divisions are inevitable. Some will side with Stefanski. Others, especially younger players or those close to Shedeur, will see this as another example of old-school coaching failing modern talent. Fractures like that don't just go away. And the damage to the franchise's reputation is already done. This isn't just an internal crisis anymore. It's national news. It's viral discourse. It's ESPN panels and NFL insiders and fan podcasts all dissecting the same question. How did the Browns fumble Shedeur Sanders? That question might haunt them for years, unless they act decisively, transparently, and with a level of self-awareness they haven't shown in a long time. Because one thing's for sure, Shedeur Sanders has already moved on emotionally. The Browns haven't. And if they don't catch up soon, they'll lose him physically, too. The truth is, the Browns are standing in the wreckage of their own making. And every second they delay, the cracks widen. Because at this point, it's not even just about Shedeur Sanders. His trade demand was a detonation, but the explosion has revealed something far more damning. A franchise that has no idea how to handle success, or potential, or modern athletes who won't just shut up and play. The Browns wanted the spotlight that came with drafting Shedeur. They wanted the jersey sales, the media buzz. The future is now headlines. But when the spotlight exposed their outdated systems and power struggles, they panicked. They collapsed under pressure. And let's be real, Shedeur didn't come into the league expecting perfection. But he did expect accountability. He expected honesty. And when a player says flat out that the coaching staff broke promises and betrayed trust, that's not drama. That's dysfunction. Now here's the kicker. This saga won't just impact the Browns' next move. It's going to follow them for years. Even if they trade Shedeur for a boatload of picks and shiny assets, they're still going to have a giant asterisk next to their name. The team that couldn't keep their star rookie happy. The team that turned potential into PR crisis. Again, and other players will remember. Agents will remember. The league will remember. This is how reputations rot from the inside. Meanwhile, the teams circling Shedeur, They're not hesitating. Because unlike the Browns, they get it. They understand that star quarterbacks in today's NFL want to be heard. They want collaboration, not control. And Shedeur isn't some diva. He's not asking for a blank check or GM-level power. He just wants a team that actually believes in what he brings to the table. Is that really too much? Apparently, for Cleveland, it is. So what happens next is going to define this franchise for a decade. Do they admit failure, recalibrate, and try to earn back the trust of the one player who could have changed everything? Or do they double down, ship him off, and start yet another rebuild? Because if Shedeur walks, you don't just lose a quarterback. You lose the blueprint, the dream, the proof that Cleveland could finally build something real, but instead, they let it slip through their fingers. Again, let us know where you stand. Are you Team Sanders or Team Browns? Do you think there's any way to fix this relationship, or is it already over? Comment your take below. Hit that like button if you're still trying to process this meltdown. And make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the wildest off-field drama shaking up the sport world. Because this was just the first domino. And the next one's already teetering.